Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel Vigil, taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel Vigil.
I know, even as a CSU Ram alum, that all the talk is around Coach Prime and what he's going to do this year. And we're all looking forward to the Rocky Mountain Showdown. Trust me, I am too, especially with it heading back up to Fort Collins. But really, what are the expectations for Coach Prime? And here to talk about it, we got our very own Jake Shapiro hanging with us. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I rocked the Deion Air Trainers from Nike. Yeah, a little
fancy. Look at you, shoe guy.
Atlanta Falcons colors, not CU colors. Sadly for the Nebraska people out there, the Colorado, Nebraska hate people. But I can't wait to pick up the new Deion Sanders shoes that are going to come out.
Are you going to take up his cell phone as well?
I'm good on that.
It's like like a razor almost.
Yeah, I saw someone on campus at CU rocking that.
No way. He's just hoping he's going to run into Deion in the hallway and be like, Deion, I got your cell phone.
Deion teaches a class like across the hall from me, so I see him like all the time.
I can't imagine him as a professor. Besides the point, what are the expectations for Deion going into year 2 now? Because obviously they're still getting a lot of primetime games. They're still getting all the big bids for TV stuff. So is it 8 to 10 wins? Is it 6 wins? What's the expectation? What's our over-under at?
Yeah, the over-under I think is at like 5.5 or 4.5 right now. It's really low, and the reason why they're on national TV so much is because they did so many numbers last year. Like, of course, you're going to put the team on national TV that drew 5 of the top 10 TV games of the season last year. So it makes sense that Colorado's getting all these national television games. There's also the new Big 12 conference aspect, which is somewhat interesting. But what are the expectations? What's going to happen? Well, Rachel, I think the national view of the Colorado Buffaloes is maybe a little bit different than the regional or local view. Nationally, I think a lot of people expect, because of the Deion talk, that they're going to be a college football playoff team. And there's 12 teams in the college football playoff, so it's certainly more possible than it was before. But it's the Colorado Buffaloes at the end of the day.
Thank you.
And I think a lot of people around here, given the fact that they've been to one bowl game in a full season since 2007, and that was in 2016, would just be happy with 7 or 8 wins, let alone maybe 6. So for me, I think the expectation is that they continue to grow in year 2, which could be the final year of Deion Sanders, but they continue to grow. They get a little bit better, and maybe they end up with 7 or 8 wins, and they're a very competitive team. They pull up one big upset, and they're going to send a bunch of guys to the draft, and that'll be exciting. And they go to a bowl, and that'll be exciting. And that's a lot better than the recent history at CU. But is 8 wins going to be nationally disappointing? Probably to some people, but again, we know this team, and maybe the people nationally don't.
See, what I think is so fascinating is, truthfully, I don't think it matters how many games they win. Besides, 1, 2, or 3, you have to get there at least. After that, I think people are just here for the Deion show. And I don't know if fans up there in Boulder are like, I don't care. As long as, not Sunday NFL Countdown, College Game Day is out on my campus and I get to party and have fun and go to the games and it be exciting. Do you think a lot of people up there in Boulder really, really care about the product on the field if it's entertaining to a degree?
The people that actually live in Boulder and care about the program, yeah. There are a lot of people around the program right now that care about the entertainment product and don't care about what's on the field, as evidenced by the fact that people are so in on Deion still, even though he barely did much in year 1. Granted, well, it was a big step up from the 1 win, and they barely got the 1 win a year before, but let's be real. CU was the only school desperate enough to hire Deion, and Deion was desperate enough to take the job at CU. This was a marriage of desperation.
And it is crazy how they were able to make up the money. It's crazy how the donors came in, and
Deion's underpaid.
Yeah.
By a lot.
Yeah.
Because he made the school a lot more money, and the fiscal report for the state of Colorado and the university is going to come out in the next, I think, couple weeks. So we're going to find out exactly how much Deion made, the state and the school.
Crazy.
But it's going to be an insane number. So Deion's underpaid, but Rachel, I think a lot of people do care about the University of Colorado Buffalo's football program, as evidenced by the fact that they were still selling out games, drawing 40,000 fans when they were winning 2-3 games a year. And, maybe the people that are around the program now and the people that are Deion people more than CU people are going to be in no matter what. But I do think that there's a large chunk of the fan base that's kind of, biting their nails going, all right, we're going to see. And it's truly an unknown because there's, I think, 45, 55 new transfer players that have come in. And granted, I do think the roster is a lot better than last year, but they lost some pieces. And Deion has said over and over, the portal's for depth. They lost depth, but they did gain a lot of nice pieces. The problem is they're still short on the offensive line. They're still short on the defensive line. And their running back room is kind of a disaster. So, and Pat Shurmur is their offensive coordinator. So this team is a mystery. It really is a mystery.
Yeah.
And they're going to play a bunch of teams in the Big 12 that got all these corn-fed kids from Kansas and Oklahoma that maybe aren't sending first-round picks to the NFL, but it's a lot of kids like Nick Bonito, who plays for the Broncos, that are just like solid 2 to 3 year starters for these Big 12 programs.
For sure.
And that's going to be rough to play against.
Okay. Well, it's also interesting because a few weeks back now, it came out that it's unlimited transfers in college athletics. I'm curious your take on this and how is it going to hurt or is it going to help CU?
It helps CU right now. It hurts them long-term, probably.
Okay.
So
the second Deion says goodbye, all this talent's going to be like, see you later.
Well, yeah, but you shouldn't entrap people that are 19 years old that aren't being paid to do something that is literally a professional sport.
Yeah.
So, I mean, me and you could have transferred as many times as we wanted to as regular students. Why shouldn't student athletes be able to? This was actually a really cool ruling that gives a lot of people more freedom and power. Phil Weiser, the Attorney General for Colorado, has been leading the charge on this for months and months. This suit got overturned by the Sherman Act, which is an antitrust because the NCAA is basically running a monopoly and they're a cartel that takes advantage of 18 and 19 and 20-year-old kids, and it's disgusting. And they've done it for 100 years now. So that the kids get a little bit more power. Love it. Does it make college sports a lot more confusing? Yes. Is it really college sports anymore? Not really. It's professional sports with a college attached to it.
But it's been professional sports for years now. Like, let's just be real.
Yeah. I mean, the facilities being better than what the Kansas City Chiefs have will tell you how much money the kids are making these schools. So good ruling for kids, good ruling for CU. As long as Deion is here, he'll continue to approach the portal and build through the portal. I worry that Deion's probably not going to be here longer than this year. You have the hint that both of his kids are going to leave, and as well as his daughter's already left. You also have the fact that he's basically given up on high school recruiting already. He only got 5 high school recruits, and I think 2 are walk-ons, and one's the top high school player in the country. So they already stopped recruiting the preps. So long-term, Colorado's program, even with Deion, might not be in the best of shape because you have to recruit preps, but no one really knows how this is going to work with high school recruits. Like, will schools like New Mexico and New Mexico State be a lot of schools that pick up, 3 and 4 star recruits, and then as soon as they've proved themselves on the college level, they'll transfer to the Alabamas, or if they don't make it, maybe they'll transfer to the Colorados or the Colorado States of the world. I don't know. No one knows this next step of college football, but there could be a question, especially in college football, where you have to wait 3 years to go to the NFL, of basically Alabama could just be a bunch of juniors and seniors that have transferred from other programs, because what's the point of just sitting there for 5 years if you're not going to play for the first 2?
Yeah, no, it's 100%. And it's a really fair question. I found that ruling to be fascinating because, yeah, I mean, you're right. We get the freedom. If we were still in college, we would have the freedom to transfer as many times as we want. So the fact that now all these athletes are, but Jake, you cover the bus, like, especially during the playoffs for the Nuggets and Avs, you were like, I feel like I'm not even up to date on all the transfers that have happened and all of the different stuff. And like, Jake is very much into all of that. And so I'm like, I can't imagine what it's going to be like now, where it can be 2 or 3 players a day can be moving.
Well, yeah, and you had several players a day in the transfer portal windows that were open. That's another question: is will the windows stay open the whole year, or will they just stay open a couple times a year like they are now? I seriously question why, if you're Travis Hunter in December, why you wouldn't just transfer to Alabama and go play for the college football playoff and then go transfer back to CU. Like, I don't understand why you didn't do that. Like, there are 12-week classes. Like, you can get eligible at a different school. So I wonder if we're going to get mercenary level with these college football programs to that point, or if we're going to stay kind of like this handshake agreement where, we're going to wait till the next season. So there's a world in which this gets really ridiculous. I think that is likely to happen because college sports likes to be ridiculous. But again, with the way college football is right now and the fact that the roster size can be 90, 100, 115 guys, I don't know how the average fan is supposed to track this, but yet again, if you even go back 5-10 years, how many of the average or casual fan is able to name outside of maybe the top 10 quarterbacks in college football?
100%.
Anybody. So you're rooting for laundry, you're rooting for school, you're rooting for community pride. You're not really rooting necessarily for the players because very few fans, unless you're a sicko, know the players. And I think that's going to be the way it continues to be. But I wouldn't be surprised here if the NFL changed some of the draft rules within the next couple of years as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, talking about community pride, obviously Boulder, Fort Collins, Buff, Ram right here, the Rocky Mountain Showdown. I'm looking forward to it. And not that I ever take the like, oh, well, we made it into OT, so like that's a win for us type of motto.
Double OT.
Double OT. But you get my point. I never take that stand because the Rams still lost. It's going to be one hell of a battle again, I think, this year, even as it goes on up into Fort Collins. And to be completely honest with you, CSU did some stupid things. It was a whole thing. I'm not going to dive into it because we don't have enough time today on coffee break. But there were some stupid things that were done, but I could totally have seen it if that was up in Fort Collins this year. The Rams possibly could have even won it too. Like it could have gone either way.
Probably they win that game. I mean,
yeah.
The advantage of being a home team is about 3 points, and that's the difference between overtime and not in that game. And, everything needed to go right in the last minute for the Buffs to even get it to overtime. Yeah. So,
that game was so fun.
It was so fun. And
maybe not the 2 a.m. leaving Boulder, but it was still fun.
You know who I was with right next to when the Buffs scored the winning touchdown in overtime, double overtime?
Yeah.
And this is on the video if you go back on my Twitter. Bradley Van Pelt.
Shut up.
I have the video of Bradley Van Pelt reacting to the Buffs winning.
No way.
And it's been like something that I very secretly did because I was like,
wow,
what he did to CU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's great. It's a great video.
Where was I must have been off somewhere else.
Yeah. Anyway, Colorado only won 2 road games last year. I know they only won 4 games. 2 of them were on the road, but at TCU and at Arizona State, it's very hard to win on the road. And I think that environment, based off the ticket prices on CSU's ticket website, it's going to be pretty pro CU. I think it's almost going to be a 60-40 CSU CU crowd. It's going to be really hard to keep CU fans out of there.
Yeah.
It's not even like you can limit this. It's not like you can even limit the credit card thing, because everyone's got a state of Colorado address.
True.
So I don't really know how they're going to keep CU fans out of there. I do expect the game to be potentially dirty and there are going to be some stuff going into it and during it. And
that's rivalries though.
Yeah. That's why we love sports.
100%.
Yeah. So
I'm already looking forward to our adventure up north.
It's going to be really fun. And for Colorado too, it's like same thing as last year. 2 really emotional games in a row because it's Nebraska at Nebraska, then Fort Collins at Fort Collins.
Jake's and me traveling all over the place. All right, Jake, always a pleasure. Thank you for keeping us up to date on everything going on with the Buffs. And to all of you, I know there are a lot of Buffs fans out there. It breaks my heart just a little bit, but hey, it is fun to watch for sure and pay attention to. We'll see you guys all in the next episode of Coffee Break. Bye, everybody.